Hey, what's good, everybody? I wanted to make this one about one of my favorite birds, the vulture. Um, the vulture came to me the other day, and so I already knew I was gonna make this video. Plus, I've mentioned the vulture, I think, in a few of my spirit animal videos, so it's very prevalent in my life. Also ending the year, right, going into 2023. That's why I was grateful that it appeared to me because I was going through a few things that I thought I needed to cleanse off. Just for me, mentally, spiritually, like that's why I love this bird, this spirit animal. And just off the top already, like, its scientific name is Cathartes aura, or aura, however you want to pronounce it. And it basically translates to either golden purifier or cleansing breeze, right? Either one is already amazing. And I guess maybe you wouldn't think of it in that way, right? You see, and that's the turkey vulture. I believe the that's the scientific name for the turkey vulture, which is the one that I run into, right? That's the one that's around where I live, that I see all the time, and it always appears when I'm going through some kind of spiritual cleansing, right? Like I'll climb the mountain, and once I climbed the mountain, and I don't know, it was in the middle of the summer, and I was going through a little spiritual cleansing. To me, it's like a ceremony in itself. And as I was getting to the top, I mean, I felt like I had nothing left. There was absolutely nothing I had left. I felt like I was dying, but I'm not gonna stop till I hit the top, right? So I was just like, I don't got nothing left, but I was just traveling at a snail's pace, heading up the mountain, and then boom, three, vultures appeared, and they were circling around me. And when I got to the top, they circled around and then they left. And that's the magic of the vulture, is that it comes to purify, right? Like it's not gonna leave anything left, right? Like anything that's hidden, even, right? Even if there's things still hidden, it's gonna bring them out and it's gonna cleanse it, right? Um, just even as a spirit animal, if you're tapping in, usually for me it appears in that way, right? But it also appears to let you know, like, it's the epitome of being the master of your environment, right? Like imagine it soars without flapping its wings for hours. It could literally just soar around using the wind currents, right? Like it has mastered the ability to soar without flapping its wings once for hours, just by using the wind current. It hunts by, it uses its sense of smell mainly, right? It'll use its vision as well, but its main thing is the sense of smell. It's that heightened that it'll smell the dead animal, or whatever. I guess whatever is dead that it's gonna eat, and that's how it detects it, right? Mainly, that's its number one way that it detects it, through smell. So I mean, just imagine the smell. It's that heightened, and it'll go in, right? So it's almost. I mean, if you've experienced this, like, there's so many ways the spirit world communicates with you, right? I don't know all the technical terms for it, but there's, you see visions, so you could have like that, right? Like the psychic gift of seeing visions. You have obviously the audio thing, right? You'll hear things. Sometimes they'll whisper things to you. Sometimes you'll hear songs, right? I'm gonna make a video about the hearing songs as well. Sometimes it smell, like that happened to me not too long ago. uh Someone that lives all the way, like, in another state and everything, pretty far. It was weird, like I smelled something, and it just was strange because never in my life have I smelled that very specific thing in the mountains. And so, later I was messaging with this person in the afternoon, and they told me that they had ate that, like, without smelling. So that I attribute to being really tapped in with, like, kind of like the vulture. The vulture will use its sense of smell to guide it to its food, and for some reason I was able to smell something that shouldn't have been there. There was no explanation, just that, right? It's almost like it's in the it's in the atmosphere of the psychic realm or something, and you pick up on it. And so that's how they communicate. So all that to say, the vulture, when it comes in, your psychic senses could really be heightened. Not only just because of the sense of smell, but I mean, this animal is the epitome of death and rebirth too, right? Like the vulture, right? It eats death and it gives it life, right? Like it literally eats things that are either dead or decaying, you know, and it'll turn it into life, right? So I believe they even have like tarot decks with animals on it, and that's the death and rebirth symbol, right? The vulture. Um, so it will connect you to the other world, right? It's like, that's why I'm saying the psychic senses as well, right? When it comes in, you can be very tapped into the spirit world, right? Um, like something, like it doesn't happen to me like as much as it does with dreams, but even today I was on a mountain bike ride. I closed my eyes briefly, right? Because if not, I'll probably go off the mountain. But I closed my eyes briefly, and I just saw a coyote, right? I saw a coyote in my head, and I was like, that's funny. I bet you I'm gonna run into a coyote. And sure enough, uh, right when I was about to finish my mountain bike ride, boom, two coyotes popped out. So I was like, there it is. Because I had forgot about it. I was like, wow, um, okay, I guess I'm going to run into a coyote. So, you know, I really feel that I'm tapped into the vulture energy right now. And that's why all these things were happening, right? Um, the year is ending. It's a perfect way to end it. Leaving behind anything that doesn't need to be here anymore. So if you need to tap into that, like, that's one thing. I guess I don't know if I've emphasized that on other spirit animal videos, but to tap in, like, they will help you. If you feel silly asking animals for help, um, I mean, that's something you have to work through, right? To understand that they're there to help. They will help you, right? Obviously, they're not just here for your pleasure, but they will help you. Uh, if you look at them like relatives, like they're not just animals that you're here to, like, human beings, right? Love to exploit everything that they can. So when you look at animals in that way, like they have their own life, they're here for a reason as well, right? It's not just you. It's not. So when you look at that, and you're thankful, whenever I see these animals, I give an offering, right? Every time I see these animals and I get a message from it, and I'm like, okay, and I interact with it, I'll leave an offering, right? So it's not like I'm just, so that's what I mean. Like, I really tap in, and I think that's why they give me messages the way like a tarot reader would read with cards, or the way a psychic, gets tapped in from a spirit guide or someone that's communicating with them. That's to the level that these animals will communicate with me on the spot, and they'll bring me a very direct message. So that's why I try to emphasize that, right? These spirit animal videos is not just about like, this is my little spirit animal, or it's not like just like in a cute way, right? Or something. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like it'll literally give me a message with whatever I'm going through at that moment, right? So yeah, sorry for all that, but I mean, it is the end of the year, so I'm making this at the end of 2022, so maybe I needed to really drive that point about what spirit animals are. And so, like I said, the vulture is the perfect, I mentioned, right? It's like the epitome of mastering your environment, right? Everything from the way it flies to the way it hunts to the whole cycle of death and rebirth. It cleanses the environment. It like balances the environment and the ecosystem and all that stuff, right? So without the vulture, right, there'd be dead bodies, and then I guess probably disease and all that stuff would spread. And I know even that, right, after it it eats these dead animals, and so all the bacteria that's left on its feet, like it poops and pees on its own legs, and that I guess stops it from getting infected and all that, right? So it's just the whole thing, the way the vulture uses all these natural things, right? Like even that, like it's its own, like just everything, right? It has its own little ecosystem within itself, right? The vulture. And another thing about it is like I'm putting video that I've taken from a vulture, which was the most beautiful thing. I think that's when I really looked it up. I was just observing the vulture. If you see in this video that I'm gonna put in here, and it was the sun was rising over the mountain, and it just spread its wings on the side of the mountain, and it was just dry. I guess they do that also to dry off all the whatever food, whatever dead animal they have on them or whatever, and it the rays of the sun are burning all that away, right? So even just that, the beauty at that moment when I saw it, it was beautiful, right? It just looked like the most majestic bird, even though people often associate it like that with death, or it looks sickly, or this and that. But also, it's the epitome of letting you know to be confident in what you are. That vulture could care less what you think of it. It doesn't care. Like, hey, it's like, hey, this is what I am. I eat dead bodies. I this, I that. I look, I have a bald head, and maybe people might think like, hey, what's wrong with that? Why does that bird look funny, right? But it's confident in every single way. So to me, it's like a very majestic bird because it doesn't need nothing from nobody. It will survive one way or another, right? So if you're tapped into that vulture energy, it's like you're a survivor, right? You've mastered even that, the death and rebirth cycle at that point, right? I mean, it could be coming to you in your baby stages of that, like as it's trying to tell you, like, hey, we got you. We're cleansing whatever thing you were going through right now. You just graduated from that. We're just here to cleanse whatever little thing was left right there, whatever residue of whatever spiritual battle you went through, or whatever death and rebirth cycle you went through. We're here to clean up whatever was the remnants of that, right? So that's why the vulture is so important. And it's also related to the condor, which the condor is just, it's been around forever with prophecies. I'll put a link to the condor and eagle prophecy that I made a video about that, because the condor came to me, on my birthday this past year on June 9th. It came to me, and I made a video about that, right? So in a way, it is like the vulture, but it's like the king of the vultures, right? The condor is like the biggest bird, or it is the biggest bird, and it's a relative of the vulture. So it's like the epitome of really cleansing. It was like the most spiritual thing that could have came to me in a dream, right? The condor, right? So I guess probably just the last thing is they also come to you when it's time to uncover truths. Like, someone's been lying to you about something, or something was hidden from you, and so just the way they would pick every last thing out of the bones that's left, right? Like, they will uncover, and maybe that's tapped into your psychic gifts, being enhanced, right? Like, anything that was being hidden from you, you'll probably have visions, you'll have premonitions, some way or another, you're gonna be tapped in when the vulture comes to you. It's just part of the cycle, right? It can't remain hidden because, it's just that people being deceitful, or maybe, I mean, if you already had the intuition and you already cut people loose, then it's kind of just cleansing that out, right? Just letting you know that, hey, you made the right choices. You got rid of that. We're just here to kind of, if you were having a problem letting go, but you finally like let go, then I think that's more tied in probably to the lizard, right? The way it lets its tail go. But then what will come next would be the vulture, which is funny that I'm doing the vulture video right after the lizard, right? Because that's kind of the way it would go, right? First, the lizard teaching you that, hey, sometimes you got to let go of stuff. And then the vulture coming in to like, boom, let me just cleanse whatever was left over. Let me just cleanse it so you can move forward, right? And I think that's about it. Just I'll put whatever thing I left out, but I mean, more than anything, I think that's why I always think of it just like that, the golden purifier, right? It came to cleanse you spiritually, physically, everything. Tap into it, give thanks to it, right? Yeah, so another thing about the vulture is just it masters, like I said, it masters the environment, but also like it'll teach you to use your resources, right? Everything around you, right? You have everything you need right around you. So, for example, like, let's say you're starting a business, right? You probably don't have the money that to fulfill the whole vision, but you probably have everything you need around you. You probably have friends that they do this, and then another friend does this, and another friend does that. And maybe you could barter, right? Like, hey, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, and stuff like that. You just got to check your pride, right? If you're too prideful to ask for help, then obviously you're not going to get nowhere. But if you're able to talk to somebody and not just trying to get over on people, but actually like that, like, hey, I'll do this for you, and if they're not willing to, you find someone else, right? But you'll have that. And like for me, that happened a lot, like with music, right? Like I would have these ideas. Like one time, like the producer I worked with, he asked me, hey, if you help me move I'll record a song for you for free, like at the studio. And at that time, like I didn't have money, and I had just wrote this song that became one of my favorite songs, like a song I actually did with my mom, right? I took her to the studio, and it was cool, cause like it was her first time recording in the studio, so we did take after take after take until it was perfect. So it would those hours at the studio would have costed like a good amount of money, right? But because I helped him move, he did the song, right? He did it for free. He didn't charge me for that song, right? So I learned that, right? Like the Vulture thing. Like when you don't have money, you learn to use your environment around you, right? So I guess it's always been there. So I understand that. I appreciate that about the Vulture, right? It's a magical bird that'll teach you that, hey, there is no can't. Like there really is no can't. There's a way to do something somehow, some way, and you might have to give up one thing for another, right? Like hey, it's never gonna go hungry. It eats dead animals, but it's never gonna go hungry, right? Because it just that's what it is, right? So and just to add to that, right? Like it doesn't hunt, right? So it just when you're talking about not even like wasting energy at all. So it has like it has everything to do with patience too, right? It's patient but confident. Like there's nothing gonna go wrong with the life of this bird, right? Like I guess unless it's hunted by, maybe it goes down to eat and a lion just eats it real quick or something. But other than that, it's like it's gonna always have food. It's gonna be patient, just wait. Okay, you do, you kill for me. Obviously, I mean, that could be seen as a negative trait, like even that's something you call someone, right? Like in the human world, it's negative to call someone a vulture because they're trying to steal off of something you've done. And it could bring that message to you. It could be a warning, like, hey, watch out for vultures, right? You might be feeling that energy, and then you see the vulture swoop in, and it might be telling you, like, hey, you got some vultures around you, so be careful, right? Just like it conserves its energy. Well, it might be telling you, like, hey, conserve your energy. Like, don't let some vulture be taken from your ideas, from all your hard work, right? Like it's popular now about the fake accounts and everything online. So that would be the epitome of a vulture in a negative trait, right? From how we know it in the human world, like people making fake accounts to steal from other people. Those are vultures, right? I mean, that's really the only thing like I could think of in a negative way. I usually don't think of the vulture in a negative way. Spiritually, I'm really happy when I see it, right? Even the other day when I saw it, it was like at eye level with me as I was going on the bike on the mountain. Like I just look up and there's the vulture, like, so I just said hello and, gave my little offering and that was it. So I had already done a video on an old channel about the vulture, which I saw some people interacted with me. They liked it. I don't remember what I said in that one. I was just going to repost that one, but I wanted to make it more to kind of what I was going through right now. Maybe people could relate to it. Maybe they can't, but especially ending the year. Yeah, no better spirit animal could have came in than the vulture. So I'm very happy for it. I'm happy the coyotes that I seen today because they represent change. So after seeing the vulture and then seeing the coyotes, it's like, okay, they cleaned off the whatever was left from all this past stuff, and the coyotes are here to guide me into the change, right? Because even that one coyote was guiding the other one. It was funny. Like they saw me, they got scared real quick. Like, well, not scared, but they just looked at me like, oh, and I waved to them, and oh, okay, and then one proceeded, and then the other one was following. Like, okay, the coast is clear. Like, this is a friend, right? Like they saw that I was a friend to them. So and then they led the other one towards the change. So that was beautiful. Okay, so I'll end it there. Thanks for listening. Again, hopefully I wasn't all over the place. Hope you enjoy your new year if you're watching this in 2022, and all the best for 2023. Peace. That's right. Yeah, sometimes you just feeling it, you know what I'm saying? You just feeling it. And I want to feel this way forever.